Fun fact about your old pal Jake, used to sell U-verse and DirecTV as part of a sales job. I remember when rumors cropped up that Newsmax was going to be a part of it. I couldn't be happier than I am right now to be on the other side of that saga telling you Newsmax is no longer going to be on U-verse and DirecTV. Ooh, it feels good. Mwah. Just, it's so sweet. Here is IndieWire talking about AT&T dropping Newsmax. As of midnight, January 24, Newsmax TV is no longer available on DirecTV or its DirecTV stream or AT&T U-verse. For context, AT&T owns, in one manner or another, all these things. DirecTV says it's about carriage fees. The conservative-facing cable news channel doesn't believe it. DirecTV, which is a majority-owned by AT&T, dropped pro-Trump channel OAN, One American News, from its channel lineup last April. Also not a surprise. That one also came at the end of a carriage deal. Like Newsmax TV today, OAN accused AT&T of playing politics. The irony. OAN's parent company went so far as to sue AT&T over its choice to not renew the channel. A San Diego court dismissed the central claim. So do bear in mind, these are not, it's not like they're dropping Fox, for example. These are not giants in the media world. These are, impressive for how long they've been around, certainly, but they're little baby channels. So it's not unusual at all, in fact, for AT&T to change its lineup, every couple of quarters. I cannot tell you how many networks there are that only play old TV, for example. And it's just a game of contracts, essentially. Shuffling contracts, whoever's got the most, whoever can say, oh, next quarter we'll get you X many dollars. And the executives in charge make a call. They say, okay, well, if we get X much, we're going to keep it. If we get less than X, we're going to ditch it. It's brutal, but they don't claim to be anything else. You can't blame them. It's that simple. Beyond the bickering, let's look at the numbers. In mid-December, IndieWire published the 2022 to-date rankings by average viewership of all 126 cable channels. At the time, Newsmax TV ranked 56th in prime time. 56th. And they're wondering what happened. This is for a conservative news outlet. AKA, they can say whatever they want happened and it doesn't have to be real. They have no rules applying to them. And they were only 56th, according to Nielsen's Live Plus same-day ratings, a data set that, if anything, disproportionately helps news programming. That put Newsmax below BBC America. Hold on a sec. We're going to get back to that. And Disney Junior, and above the NFL Network and Science Channel. All right. Just a moment there. So for the Nielsen ratings, that's a bizarre organization. That organization is responsible for a great deal of the woes in the world. I may do a separate video on them, but in short, the way they measure who's watching what is not something that I think anybody would be comfortable with if they were aware of the details. The details being, for example, when you hear about Sweeps Week, that refers to the week during which mailers are sent back or are sent out to various households, and the households fill them out and mail them to the person who's going to be doing the measuring. In this case, the Nielsen company. And sweeps refers to literally sweeping up all the analog mailers that got sent back to them. It's a method that only gets a certain group of people. And they also extrapolate from there. They say, well, we sent mailers to this many households, and we're going to multiply the results of people who sent those back by the population of an area and say that's what people watch. It's a bizarre way to run things. It's almost a separate thing. But BBC America, okay, Newsmax was getting lower ratings than the British broadcasting company's coverage of American events. An organization from another country. That would be like if I complained that I wasn't higher in the algorithm because Al Jazeera gets more views than me when they talk about American news. It's not a good look, Newsmax. It is not a good look. Side note on the NFL network. The NFL, and in fact football in general, is more or less keeping cable companies alive right now. The NFL network might have gotten less than Newsmax. The NFL network's value is very different and should be judged very differently. They are part of multiple packages that get sold to sports fans. And those packages involve, among the NFL network, various other channels that cover certain teams. If you like college football, there's a package you can buy for that. If you like NFL, there's a package you can buy from that. If you like just the Steelers, there's a package you can buy for that. So on and so forth. So, all in all, looking at this, it's not a surprise Newsmax got cut, particularly when you consider the fact that, yeah, they are a liability. Yeah, they absolutely open up AT&T to lawsuits for things like lying about Dominion. I don't know that Dominion would want to keep picking on a giant like AT&T, but man, they might. It also comes with a giant paycheck if they win. Fellow 24-hour cable news channels Fox News, MSNBC, and CNN were all top 10 channels. Nexstar's news station, Nexstar, which fancies itself the down-the-middle cable news channel, was 85th. So yes, it could be worse. Nexstar owns a bunch of local news stations. They're like Gray or Graham Media. They're the same thing. It's important to note here that Newsmax is available in roughly 25 million fewer homes than the big three cable news channels, which of course impacts overall viewership. That is fair. Availability is a big deal, and it is part of the reason why the internet is booming right now, because it is egalitarian. It's very much open to all. We now have a full year's worth of data, and over the course of a 24-hour day, Newsmax TV averaged 120,000 total viewers. For comparison, the league leader, Fox News, averaged nearly 1.5 million viewers. When AT&T is looking at that, they are looking at what is essentially the same audience. The folks that are watching Newsmax, I am sure they made the calculation. They're not leaving over Newsmax availability. MSNBC averaged 734,000, and CNN had 565,000. That is delightful to me. I'm glad MSNBC is averaging more than CNN, because CNN's coverage is alarmingly bad most of the time, in my humble opinion. News Nation again brought up the rear with an average of 92,000 viewers across the entire day. Okay, now here is a heck of a hook. However, in the age group considered the key demographic for news programming, viewers ages 25 to 54, Newsmax TV averaged just 1,000 more than News Nation across a 24-hour day. A note on that demographic. The reason that is a valuable demographic is because that's a demographic that is viewed as swayable. If you're in a demographic older than that, it's not that the executives at these companies necessarily think oh, their views don't matter. No. It's that they think your views are more or less locked in. The truth of that, at least in the outfit I was working for, the truth of that, I question, but it is the reasoning. They're thinking, hey, if you're AT&T, they're not just thinking, can I get this, let's say, 43-year-old to watch X program or Y program? They're thinking, can I get this 43-year-old to install AT&T in their house instead of Comcast? In addition, they're wondering, what is the likelihood that I can upsell them? Back in my time, it would have been a home security system and an internet package and a phone line. What's their disposable income like? So on and so forth. So with Newsmax TV averaging just 1,000 more than News Nation, which also is going to offer them more than Newsmax could have in terms of content and demographics. That's not a very tempting set of numbers. So to hear them complaining is humorous to me. So if you guys know Richard Ojeda, that fella, you cover that new Pegasus book at all? Ooh. Well, I have a gander. Richard Ojeda is a progressive. He ran for office, didn't get it, to my dismay. I can't recall if he was straight up beat by a Republican or if he lost in a primary to a Democrat. I think he was beat in the general election. I'll have to look back into that. But nonetheless, I think he's got, by and large, great takes on things, and he covered Newsmax's meltdown following this release. It is the clip we accidentally played earlier. Here it is as it was meant to be seen on What You Can Do.
All right, we've also been telling you about some of that breaking news all morning. Last night at midnight, AT&T's DirecTV removed Newsmax from all of its systems, including DirecTV Stream and also U-verse.
Meantime, there's a long list of liberal news networks that are still in the systems, and they get paid the same fees that Newsmax is asking for.
A more blatant example of politically motivated censorship is hard to imagine. And this coming as we have all the revelations, thanks to Elon Musk at Twitter, of government-sponsored censorship. Is this
government-sponsored censorship? Just to give you a little insight into the hypnotism going on here, we got to do a side note. The interviewer appears to be conducting the interview from his kitchen. Odd choice. But Twitter's government-sponsored censorship, I think he's referring to the fact that Joe Biden, when he was not the president, when he was merely a candidate, requested that his son's revenge porn get taken down. The nudes that Republicans got their hands on, not nudes of him doing a specific crime to my knowledge, but the pictures of his junk. I think it's hard to argue with that being a reasonable request. Hey, you're participating in a crime, Twitter, by posting revenge porn. Would you stop? That is what this guy is calling government-sponsored censorship. Was it the times the government asked them to also stop breaking laws? I don't know, but he doesn't go into specifics, probably with a darn good reason.
Something being done in league with the White House, with the DNC? We don't know, but we know the facts of the case, that Newsmax was asking for fair remuneration, which is exactly the same for the top 75 channels on DirecTV, 22 of which are hardcore left-wing news channels.
There is no hardcore left-wing news channel. Unless you're talking about TYT, in which case it has some hardcore left-wingers. A hardcore left-winger, for the record, is just somebody who's really excited about helping people. That's your hardcore left-winger. TYT also has some moderates. TYT is also where some, in my opinion, reprehensible right-wingers got their start. That ain't on these cable packages.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and politically motivated censorship? Since when is dropping a dead weight, failing, pathetic product censorship? It's called free market economics. You know, the thing that Republicans adore when it goes their way, and then they can dominate with monopolies, and when it doesn't go their way, as most often is the case, then they whine and they cry tyranny.
Why is it that only Newsmax is treated like this? It's very clear. It's because Newsmax is growing in popularity, is growing in influence, and they want to shut down a voice that isn't the mainstream lying media, but actually brings the facts to all of our viewers.
And
again, relying on old-timey sales experience. Nope. If it was growing like he suggests they're growing, absolutely not. That would not have been cut. Just say this is a culture of people that watch trends the way other folks watch conventional pornography. They would not have cut it if it had a bright-looking future on their platform.
Out of this basic little conundrum was birthed the real doctrine of Republican policy, corporate welfare. Yes, corporate welfare is the Republican doctrine by which working people should foot all the bills of the Republicans' money. Because after all, Republicans have no skills. They've never labored. It's like asking a newborn child to carry their own weight. Republicans are helpless unless they do nothing and skim 20% off the top. And so they design government to do just that.
True.
And they take their free lunch money and pay these brain-dead Newsmax snobs to spin cute little fables about how trickle-down economics was ordained by God as the law of the universe. And when DirecTV comes along and pulls the plug and says, guess what? Fairy tales don't pay the bills, all the little right-wingers get misty-eyed and lament in an ununified voice, come save me, government regulations.
It always amazes me how much the left hates transparency and they hate dissenting views.
Just then, these guys, we talked about in this clip how these guys are talking vaguely about things and not doing specifics. Cut to the guy being like, they don't like transparency. We started this by reading you the numbers. And indeed, including the part that puts a little bit of a nicer shine on this, which is that it's not available as widely as some of their competitors. Left loves transparency. The left loves to be discovered to be wrong. Because I'll tell you something else about the left. We love changing our opinion. Because we're grown-ups. We acknowledge that it's generally a good thing to improve. Ridiculous.
Interesting about this kind of move here by DirecTV and AT&T, they're doing it wide open for everyone to see. You see the statistics that Seb laid out. They don't even care because the left has pressured them behind the scenes to say, hey, look, there are some dissenting views out there we just don't like. There's a network that's gaining popularity that people are gravitating toward. They're sick of our lies, and instead they're going to real news outlets like Newsmax. So we have to do something to stop them.
If you think Republicans are about limited government, check that empty cavern behind your forehead. They're about stuffing their own wallets and rigging the system to work for them, period. And for the proof, look no further than Exhibit A. Right now they are cosplaying as fiscal penny pinchers saving America from the debt ceiling. But check yourself into the reality hotel for just a moment, Richard, and you'll find out that it was Republicans who broke the bank, and it's their bills on the table that are ballooning government. Time for some facts, imbeciles. Ronald Reagan raised the debt ceiling more times than any U.S. president by far.
Yes, he did.
Donald Trump did a grand total of one thing in his entire perverted reign, not related to ruining democracy and installing himself as a dictator, and that was shanghaiing the country to cut himself and his golf buddies fat checks with his big league tax break for billionaires. And it's that mess that's coming home to roost right now. Fact. And fact number 3 is going to be the biggest factor of them all, and that is the fact that one word can accurately sum up Republicans and Republican political ideology.
All right.
Panhandlers. They want to do nothing and get paid for it. Government spending is out of control thanks to Republican administrations who've shoved corporate welfare structure down America's throat. If you look at government spending as a pie chart, corporate welfare is the fattest slice by a mile. No wonder Trump's gut is no longer fits through the standard doorways. So while sane Sane citizens across America are rejoicing with the due collapse of the comedy network called Newsmax. Republicans will don their crocodile tears and cry tyranny and promptly have their legislators, and I use that term lightly, craft up communist-level provisions to enact their bullcrap propaganda as required state programming and market it all under the banner of freedom and limited government. Hooray for the poorly educated.
Brutal. Brutal. But accurate. Richard Ojeda, welcome to the No Notes Club. Dead on. I do have notes on the little interview there, though. Yeah, so gaining popularity. A long time ago, I was talking to somebody who said, I'm going to tell you this. Muslim is the fastest growing religion in the United States of America. In fact, it's the fastest growing religion in the world. I was like, all right, that's interesting. He goes, I'm going to also tell you this. That is because if you are measuring a religion that has very few members compared to one that has a lot, it's easy to say it's the fastest growing. If you have one person that is part of a religion, and in a week, one other person says, all right, I'll join up, that religion doubled its size in a week. When they say they are a growing network, and they don't tell you, something that gives you a sense of how much they're growing. They have told you how much they're growing, and it's not enough to make a real case about it. Delighted to see Newsmax struggling. Delighted to see them getting less corporate protection. Delighted to see that if somebody sues them, they are more likely to be suing only Newsmax, not Newsmax and their daddies. Good. And above all, I'm delighted that that's less potential people to get poisoned by their lies.